Hello, we are live. How are you guys doing today? Day 4. Do you believe it? This week is flying by. You definitely could have easily given up by now, but you haven't. You're here. You're committed to doing what it takes to lay that foundation for that profitable blogging business. So thank you for joining me. For those of you who have been stepping out of your comfort zone and doing the homework each day, either sharing it or doing it privately, I am so proud of you. You guys are truly rock stars. Keep the momentum going. You're doing a great, great job. Today, I just want to shout out people who have been consistent all week and just give them a shout out because they're rocking it. We have Colleen, Kayla, Nasa, Sarah, Jerry, Leah, Lindsay, Alex, Leanne L, Jennifer, Leanne R, Patricia, Tina. You guys all that I've seen all completed homework 3. If any of you have completed it and I haven't got there yet, that's fine. Good morning, Jennifer. How are you? Keep working on it. You have till Sunday to finish all those homeworks. And if you do them all and share them with me and I give you feedback, then you will be entered in to win a free private coaching session from me, a 1-hour session worth over $200 and a blog review. Okay, Jennifer just emailed you mine. Okay, I'll check it after the live today. Awesome. All right, so as you guys are hopping on today, let me know in the chat while we're waiting for some people what your biggest win has been this week or what your biggest takeaway has been from the challenge. Good morning, Jerry. How are you? Today, we are going over 7 deadly sins of blogging. That sounds so serious. It's not that serious, but they are things you want to definitely keep in mind. And then we'll get to what we're doing for homework and then get to some questions. So I'm going to dive right in here. Get to sharing my screen. All right. Still figuring out this StreamYard thing. There we go. Okay. The 7 deadly sins of blogging. So the first deadly sin is, and we covered this a little bit throughout the week, but I really want this to set in for you, is starting a blog without the end in mind. So again, that means, like, I want you to know that you can't monetize a blog if you don't know what that transformation is that you're trying to get your person to in the end, okay? You have to have that offer in mind. And the reason for this is you don't want to be, I've seen people do this where they're creating content, and then they get to a point where they want to monetize and they have no idea what they want to sell because they're not really leading their customer on this journey and getting them ready for that transformation. And this comes with time, but I want you to start thinking about it. And when I say this, I'm not really talking about what vehicle you're using, like whether it's a course, a digital product, your service, like a one-on-one coaching. I'm not really talking about that. I just want you to think more about what that offer is that you want to offer them as the transformation, as the end thing after investing in your course, your product, whatever. I hope that makes sense. And we're not really getting into this today, but before you create any product or service or anything, before you create a course or anything like that, you are going to want to pre-sell it before you make it. And I know that sounds crazy. There is a whole strategy for that. I'm not getting into it in this challenge, but I want you to start keeping these things in mind, okay? All right. Let's move on to number 2. And we've kind of already talked about this too. Another deadly sin is you don't want to offer something that doesn't resonate with the content that you have been sharing. So how do I want to say this? Like, I kind of use an example, like if you have a vegetarian blog, you don't want to be selling an ebook on meat recipes, okay? And that seems like a no-brainer, but if you're not niched down enough and you don't draw on the right people, you're going to have all kinds of people on your list and they're not going to resonate with what you have to offer in the end. So keep that in mind because you want to be taking everyone on a customer journey, which we kind of talked about yesterday, where you're giving them the content, it's relating to your freebie, and it's leading them towards the sale eventually, okay? And this is a little bit higher level stuff, but I want you guys to start thinking this way when you're running a blogging business because it's very different than a hobby blog, okay? What else do we've got here? Oh, Colleen's here. Hi, Colleen. Hi, good morning. Hi, Alex. Colleen says that I've helped, you've helped me feel like this is within my ability to succeed at. You definitely can do this. Everyone can do this. You just need the right strategies in place. And Alex says, my biggest takeaway, narrowing my niche down is key. Absolutely. That's where it all starts. That's foundational. I feel like I'll be less stressed trying to blog about so much now. Absolutely. The more you niche down, the actual easier it gets to create your content and your freebie and your end product, because you are focused. You're not dealing with a million different things you have to create. You have one specific goal that you're headed towards. And so narrowing down is huge. That's why I start with it on day one. All right. The third deadly sin of blogging is creating a blog and expecting people to come. So how many of you have a blog and you're not promoting it? If you have a blog and it's sitting there and you're expecting people to come, let me know. I mean, no shame in this. You can let me know. This is a safe space and it's okay. We're learning. I don't know if you've ever heard of the movie Field of Dreams, but if you build it, they will come. That is not how it works with blogging. To get people to your blog, you need to know traffic strategies to get them to your site. So without traffic and getting people to actually come to your site and opt into your freebie, you cannot monetize your blog. It just won't work. So if you have, if you do have a blog, let me maybe put it this way. If you do have a blog, what traffic strategies are you currently using to get people to come find your blog? I'll put it that way. If you have a blog, what strategies are you using? So right now with this business, I do SEO, which is search engine optimization. And I know a couple of you were asking about this. And this is the process of trying to rank for certain keywords that people are searching for, so that that your blog post will show up on the first page of Google. Because think about it. How many of you, when you're Googling something, are going to the second, third, fourth page of Google, right? It might as well not exist. You're usually going to that first page, and that's where you want to end up as a blogger. So when someone types in like a certain keyword and you're trying to rank for it, that's SEO. You want to try to get on that first page. And this takes a while, and there are definitely key strategies and how to do this. It's a process. There's tools like free tools like Ubersuggest and Google Keyword Planner to use. I teach all of this in my course step by step. I'm not going deep into this in the challenge, but that is one traffic strategy, SEO. Another one that I use a ton of is Pinterest. Pinterest algorithms are changing a little bit, but they're still an amazing driver of traffic. The majority of my traffic comes from Pinterest. And then over the past year, I've also really gotten a lot of traffic from YouTube. That's a new strategy I'm trying out. And I've had a lot of good luck with that as well. So you need to have a plan after your content is created and you hit publish. So let me just give you an example too, how powerful things like Pinterest or SEO can be down the line. Because these are Pinterest and YouTube and Google, like they're search engines, right? So they are doing the work for you. They're different than like a Facebook or like a Twitter. They're actually search engines. So pins, like blog posts that I've created 3-4 years ago that I've pinned on Pinterest are still bringing me traffic to this day to those posts from my other blog. And those people are getting on my email list and they're purchasing my anxiety journal that I created for kids on a regular basis, almost every single day, my print and my digital one. And it's on autopilot. I'm not doing anything for it anymore. And that's kind of what I want you guys to get to down the line. But I want you to see, you need to have some type of traffic strategy to get people to your blog. Let me check the chat here because we got a couple things popping up. Kayla says, biggest takeaway to grow the blog, you have to be intentional, not necessarily just blog and traffic comes. Absolutely. Yep. That's kind of what we just went over. Same here, Alex. Before this challenge, I was trying to do everything because I was so excited. Slowing down and sticking to my niche just cleared my brain from all the chaos. Awesome. Awesome. Jerry says she found me on Pinterest. Yes, you'll find if you Google the Creative Impact, you're going to see, or if you go to Pinterest and go to Creative Impact or put stuff about blogging, hopefully I'm coming up because I do a ton on Pinterest. Let me see. I also have a blog post and a video that I'll post in our group and email to those of you who are not in the Facebook group watching this live about how to get traffic to your site. I have like a whole bunch of different strategies. Another great way to get traffic to your site is to leverage other people's audiences. So when you are really small, it's a great idea to reach out to a blogger or a podcaster or someone in a similar non-competing niche, but that complements yours, and see if you can get on their podcast or see if you can be a guest blogger and get in front of their audience. Because when you're small, that can be one of the most effective ways to get yourself out there and start bringing traffic in. And a lot of times when you're on a podcast, they give you the opportunity to share your freebie, like a URL for your freebie, so you can get them on your email list. If anyone's interested in learning more about that, there are lots of Facebook groups that people are posting for certain subjects they're looking for on their podcast. And if you have a podcast, you can also request for people to be on yours. So that's a really great thing. Podcasts are really, up and coming, and that's a great way to get in front of more people. All right, let's go on to the next one. Anyone else have any other strategies? I'm not seeing any strategies in the chat. Anyone have a strategy that they're currently using if they have a blog? I did see Pinterest. Anything else? I think Pinterest and YouTube and SEO, they're my top 3 because they're search engines, and search engines work for you over the long haul, where Facebook, you post something and it disappears like a minute later, if that, So keep that in mind. Same thing with Twitter. All right, number 4 is the 4th deadly sin of blogging is not having a nurture process for blog visitors and leads. So when people don't know what to do after they read your blog post, they leave, right? They're going to leave your site. We talked about this yesterday in the email marketing video. You want to have a way to capture their email address before they leave. You can do that through the freebie. If you haven't watched yesterday's training, check it out. It's on the recap page and under Live 3. You want to capture their email address so you can build that know, like, and trust factor with them and start, really building that relationship. So I think once they leave your blog, they're not coming back. So you need to be really clear in your blog post. Give them, spell it out, what they need to do. Sign up for my free so-and-so and give the transformation that you're going to give with that freebie. Or if you like this blog post, make sure to join my Facebook community, and put this several places. Like I said yesterday, people need to see something more than once. I think the stat is 9, 10, or 11 times before they're actually going to take action. So make sure you are putting this stuff everywhere. Don't be worried about annoying them. I mean, yes, don't have a pop-up every single time they click on something, but putting it around your blog, that is totally fine. Putting it in your blog post. You'll see me do freebies, 1, 2, sometimes even 3 different freebies within a blog post, or even the same one once or twice within the post. Okay, you want to get them on your list. Questions. Let's see. I'm looking into Instagram Reels once I get my feet under me a little bit. I'm comfortable video editing and love the Instagram platform. A lot of my target audiences on their Reels have been showing more engagement compared to, yes. So I'm actually not on Instagram, but I know a lot of people that are in Instagram. Reels are an amazing way. I know a lot of people having success with that. I'm not sure who this is. I know Patricia was really doing a lot on Instagram, I believe. So maybe that is you. So you can do that. Someone says, when do you start a Facebook group? So I answered this for someone else, that you don't have to have a Facebook group. Facebook groups can be a lot of work, and they're definitely not something you need to start. There's no urgency in that. I would definitely make building your email list a priority. And then once you have people on an email list and you feel that you have time to dedicate to a Facebook group as well, because that can take some time. You got to be careful with set your limits up front, or your expectations, what people can expect from you in that group, because it's easy to get sucked into that. Okay. So I would say focus on your email list. And once you get a bunch of people on your email list and you're ready, then you can email that email list and with the link to your Facebook group and start it there. Okay. I think that's a better idea, because you don't want to start a Facebook group and have one person in it, right? So wait till you get your list filled up, send them an email. Hey, this is what I'm doing. Have them join your group from your email list, and then you'll have a whole bunch joining at one time. But again, you don't have to have a Facebook group. There's no law saying you have to do that. It doesn't necessarily make you successful or bring in money. It's a good tool for building relationships. It's another tool that you can use for that, but you don't absolutely need one. Probably will edit on TikTok and share it. Yeah, and if you're great at video, let me tell you guys something else too. As blogging gets more and more saturated, and that's not to say that you still can't make money. There's absolutely still tons and tons and tons of potential to make money blogging, 100%. But to stand out more and more, if you can incorporate video, it's going to build that know, like, and trust factor with someone so much faster than if you're just blogging. So things like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube, if you feel comfortable doing that, that's a great thing to do. Okay. It's not 100% necessary, but as the way things seem to be trending is towards video. So I'm putting video within my blog posts. You don't have to show your face at first if you're not comfortable on camera. I have some people who do food blogs that just kind of show their recipes, or they show tutorials without their face. Some things to think about. Okay. All right, I've gone a little off track with that. I think I've answered all the questions so far. Keep posting questions. I will, if I don't answer them now, I will get to them by the end of our live today. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything I wanted to say about the nurture process. Okay, I don't think so. Let's move on. Whoop. Number 5, the 5th deadly sin of blogging is not monitoring your blog statistics. You want to know like what blog posts are generating the most traffic for you. You want to know where your people are coming from. You want to know where that traffic is coming in from so that you can spend more time optimizing those things. So you can monitor your blog stats by installing something like Google Analytics. It's free. I have a video on how to do this and how to connect it with WordPress. It's extremely powerful. And if you're running a blogging business, you do need to know your stats. And I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons why. So Google Analytics, it tells you tons of stuff. It's going to tell you how many visitors you're getting daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. It can break all that down. It can break down your demographics by age, sex, location. So some of you were kind of like wondering, well, who's my target audience? I'm blogging, but I'm not exactly sure. Once you set up Google Analytics and it runs, I think it takes a few days to just start really compiling the information, but you'll be able to see like who your target market is. And one of the most important things is you can see where your traffic is coming from. Like, is it mostly coming from Pinterest? Is it coming from SEO? Is it coming from Facebook or YouTube? Like, where is your traffic coming from? And whatever is getting the most traffic, that's where you want to spend a lot of your time and really focus on. So for me right now, I just checked it recently, and Pinterest is still my number one driver of traffic. So I have really put in a lot more time in Pinterest. I've hired a Pinterest virtual assistant to kind of help me out there to free up some of my time. So I knew that investing money into that would be like into a VA would be a good idea because that's where my traffic's coming from. I've also started getting some great traffic from SEO that's starting to pick up. That takes a little bit longer to start working. It's kind of a long game with SEO, but it's starting to work. And then YouTube is my third. It's up and coming. I haven't started that long ago. So those are the 3 areas I'm putting my efforts into. And if I didn't have analytics, I wouldn't know that. So that's really important. What else did I want to say about that? Oh, I had a thought and then it popped out of my head. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. And then another thing you can do is see which of your blog posts are getting the most traffic as well. So if, for example, I have a blog post called How to Write a Blog Post, and it's one of my most popular ones. So I decided to create a freebie related to that, because if a lot of people are reading it and I create a freebie around it, then that's going to get more people to opt into my email into my free, I don't know. My brain is like, it's day 4. I'm not, my brain's fried. To get them to opt into my freebie. Okay. So again, I found out that How to Write a Blog Post was one of my top performing posts. So then I made a freebie which was a blog post checklist. So they're reading How to Write a Blog Post. I'm giving them something connected, a freebie. If they're interested in learning how to write their first blog post, then they're going to probably want a checklist to go through, and then eventually lead them into the, I created a content course for writing and SEO and all that, because there was such an interest. Okay. So that's kind of how it works. That's kind of why you need to know your analytics. It comes to knowing what your audience needs and wants, right? That's what it all comes down to. Let me know in the chat, is this making sense? Does this make sense to you guys? Why you need to know your stats? Let me check anymore. What is a realistic expectation of number of email captures for a blogger? Oh man, it ranges. I mean, thousands. I mean, the sky's the limit. I know people who have 1,000. I know people who have 10,000. I know people who have 30, 40, 50,000. When you're first, I mean, it's going to depend on your traffic. It's going to take a while to build up, and blogging is a long game. So it's not like day one, you're putting this out, you're going to have 100, 200 people on your list. And another thing I want to really let you guys know is a big mistake, and maybe this is another mistake I should put on here, but a lot of people wait until they have a quote unquote big list to launch a product or start monetizing their blog. And that is a huge mistake, because a launch, and this is getting a little more in depth, but when you have a product, you want to do a launch for it, because just having it on your website, it's not going to sell. Like just having a button on your website that says buy my product, it's not going to sell. You need to have a sales system. That gets much more in depth. I get into that with coaching, but I'm not getting into that in this challenge. But when you launch, your launch actually builds your list, and that's something we can get into. But don't worry about a certain number you have to hit, Colleen. It's just you do you. Every single person is different. It depends on your traffic. It depends on your niche. So I can't really give you a number. Hope that helps. But you can, sky's the limit, honestly. Jennifer says, yes, this is making sense. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Now 6 and 7 are kind of getting more into mindset. And this is something that I avoided for so long, but it was actually, these last two things are really what made all the difference in my success. So number 6 is not treating your blog like a business from day one. There's a big difference between a hobby blog and a business blog, as you're probably seeing through this challenge. If you want to make money with a blog, then you have to treat it like a business, okay? And this is the thing that I think not many people teach this, because people can see what other bloggers are doing and they can try to copy it. Like, and they can be like, oh, they did a webinar, I'll do a webinar. They did a challenge, I'll do a challenge. They are doing, I don't know, they created this digital product, I'll create this digital product. You can copy that stuff, but until you learn the under the surface stuff that there's so much going on under the surface that successful bloggers are doing that you're not seeing, that leads to their success. And this was me. I was trying to copy all the things on above the surface, but it wasn't until I was working with a coach and realized all the stuff underneath that was actually going on that was contributing to blogger success. This kind of stuff is it. So one of the biggest things that hold people back from making money with their blog is that they want to start a business without investing any money into it. They want to do it for free. I get people all the time asking me, how can I start a blog for free? How can I do this for free? And I totally get it. You're on a budget. I totally understand that when you're first starting out, you're not bringing a lot of money in. So that's understandable. But when you're creating a business, like businesses, you need to invest money into, and that's just how it is. And luckily with blogging, the barrier to get in is super low. It's under $100 for hosting. You get your domain for free with Bluehost, and that's really all you need to start. You can get free trials and kind of see what works. But like compared to a brick and mortar, like if you were going to do a brick and mortar business, you would have to invest in the storefront, in the inventory, all that stuff up front, thousands and thousands of dollars before you get started. So when you're doing a blog, even though it's online, I want you to have that business mindset. And really think about how much your time is worth. Is it worth your time to like spend hours and hours trying to figure out all the little things up on your own, like searching the internet? Or is it easier to just pay someone to help you with it or to coach you through it? Okay. Keep those types of things in mind as you move forward. You have to know the difference between cost and investment. That's a big one. That's something I really had to learn. I was always worried about spending the money. Like, how much is this going to cost me? I followed someone, let me give you a story. I followed someone for a while and I loved her content, and she did a workshop and I signed up, and she had a $300 course. And I was like, I cannot afford a $300 course. At the time, I was like, that is so much money. And so I didn't do it. I tried to, go on and figure the stuff out on my own for a month or two. And then she did another workshop. I signed up. I ended up purchasing the course, freaking out because I was like, $300, that's crazy. But looking back, that course has made me thousands of dollars. It laid a foundation for my blog and helped me really move my business forward, my first business, and then to create this business, thousands and thousands of dollars I made from that $300 investment. So something to think about. It's not costing you something when you invest in your business. You actually need to just think about, weigh the return on investment. Is it worth it? Okay. As you move forward with your business. And just to give you an idea of where I am now, after that $300 course, and I was working on my money mindset with a coach, I invested over $1,000 in courses and more than $1,000 in coaching from other people. I still have a coach. Like, I think everyone, even at the top of their game, should have a coach, as well as it's almost been a year and a half, but I invested over 5 figures, over $10,000 in a group coaching program. And like, if you told me that at one point, I would have thought you were insane. Like, who are you? I would never do that. But keep that stuff in mind. And if you guys struggle with money mindset, there's an amazing book called You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jennifer Sincero. It is amazing. I don't know if you are familiar with her stuff, but this is a great book if you struggle with money mindset. Okay. All right. And lastly, my last deadly sin is letting your circumstances dictate your future. And I don't want to be preachy with you guys here, but I want you, this is the one that really made the difference, all the difference in my success. And I realize I'm kind of going deep with you guys with this, but this is the kind of time in the challenge where like doubts start creeping up again. Like every time like I'm working with someone, doubts start creeping up. Those old stories and excuses start coming up as they move forward further and they step more out of their comfort zone. Those old stories start resurfacing, okay? And I like to call them those reasons for not taking action, right? So what I want you to start thinking about, what things are going to come up as you continue your business blogging journey over the next, far after this challenge. Hopefully you're going to continue. Like, what kind of things do you foresee coming up for you that are going to hold you back, like those old stories? As we go through this, if you feel comfortable sharing it, type it in the chat. Like, what's your story? Everyone has one. I've had probably all of these at some point, and I'm still working through some of them. Like, it's a work. Everyone's a work in progress. Okay. So some of the reasons that people stop taking action with their blog, and I'm sure you've seen it. You see people start blogging and they get on a roll and then they just stop. And this is why. And I want you to understand that so that you can identify with it when it happens, or if it happens to you. Okay. So some reasons for not taking action on their blog as you move forward is that you think you have no time, or you're too busy. Okay. That you have a small list or no list, just not enough people. It'll never work. I don't have enough money. I have no money. I have no testimonials. No one will want to work with me. I have no support financially, emotionally. I don't know enough. I don't have that certificate, that degree, that experience. That's that imposter syndrome, if you've heard of that. I don't know how. These are stories that come up a lot for like all of us, right? And it depends on who you are, what your story is, but we all have one. And there are circumstances, right? And when we begin to give power away to these circumstances, they start to have power over you and your decisions. And I know this is getting a little like woohoo deep with you guys, but I want you to, as I said, I just really want you to understand this moving forward. And I think that a lot of us will say, I'll invest in myself when I have more money. I'll start really making this a blog when I have more time. I'll, once I get that certificate, or I figure out a little more, I'll get started. But I'm here to tell you that if you're telling yourself this, I know from experience, you're going to be waiting a long, long time. It's probably not going to happen. If you're doing this now, like, think about it. Has it gotten you anywhere? And who already feels like they have these stories running through their heads? Does anyone in the chat want to tell me? Let me check the chat. The live keeps freezing. Is it on my end? I don't know. Is it freezing for anyone else? Looks good on my end. Colleen says the fear of success. Okay, so that's interesting, and that's not uncommon. A lot of people don't realize that they have a fear of success until they get deeper into it, and when they start making money, things start coming up like, I'm not worthy of this, like I don't deserve this money. That is something that comes up for a lot of people. Jennifer says it's fine for me. All right, let me know if anyone else is having a problem. It could have just been a glitch. Hopefully you'll be able to catch the replay if you're not catching all this. So think about it. I want you to recognize whatever story it is. And another one says, okay, Kayla says a fear of success. That's interesting, guys. And that's kind of a secondary game, which we're going to get into in a second. So think of a reason why you might think of a story that you might be telling yourself. And I want you to try to start letting it go. So you don't have to do it right now if you don't want to, but over the next day, I want you to sit with it, take a deep breath, and say it out loud. Like if it's like, I have no time, I want you to sit with it, say it out loud, take a deep breath, do it 3 times. And as you're saying it out loud, I want you to see if it changes for you at all. Like, are you starting to see the power it's holding over you, and then it's not necessarily true? Okay. Alex says, I'm holding myself back because I don't have a degree or anything about nutrition, so I feel people won't take me seriously. Very common fear, Alex. Remind me again. I believe, Alex, you were doing the baby-led weaning, correct? So that's a very common fear. You are not teaching like the top of the top in nutrition, and as long as you're not giving medical advice and you're just helping people who are a few steps in behind you, you do not need a degree. Okay. Like my degree is not anything in blogging, or my other blog is Highly Sensitive Kids and Anxiety. I'm not a doctor. I do state that I'm not a doctor, so that I give that little disclaimer, but I talk about anxiety all the time, and I have thousands of people on my list for that. No degree, nothing. Okay. So you keep that in mind. You don't need a degree, but that is a normal fear. All right. Thank you for sharing. Mine is the fear that people will not want to purchase anything from me, and I won't be able to give out value content for their purchase. Also another fear. Like, I understand that. I've been through that as well, Nasa. But what you're going to do is, and I'm not getting into this today, but you always want to pre-sell your product. And so what I give my coaching clients is like, I give them a little script to send out and be like, hey, I'm thinking about creating this. Is this something you're interested in? And they either say yes or they say no. And it's not personal. So you have to understand that with business, it's not personal. It's not any direct, assault on you. And your content is valuable. I know you want to downplay your experiences and your knowledge, and that's normal, but you have to know that you have value, and the more people you help, the more your confidence will build. Maybe you want to start with just helping out a few people. What I did is I took 1 or 2 people that I helped for free and got them results, so that really built my confidence, and I could see, okay, I can help people. I do have this ability. You can get a testimonial from them, and then your confidence that you have valuable content that's worthy of purchasing, you'll get that. Okay. It all comes with time. So much of this comes down to what's in our head, guys. That's why I say 20% success, or 20% mechanics, 80% psychology. That's what success is about, because it's not just about those step-by-step things you have to do. It's a lot of work within you. All right, so let me move on here. So how much power are you giving your circumstances? That's something I really want you to think about. Because when you let your circumstances dictate your actions, or your lack of actions, like you don't do it in the present, then what you're really doing is letting your circumstances really define your future and what you're going to do in the future. And you do not want this. And every single blogger, every single 6-figure, 7-figure blogger is doing mindset work. I 100% guarantee it. And this is something that I didn't know. This is not something that people tell you, but A lot of them have mindset coaches. I have a mindset coach. There's a lot that goes into blogging. And you guys thought you were just signing up for a blogging course. Here I am giving you all this mindset stuff, but it's the whole package. And the great thing about it though, is that as you blog and grow this business, you are going to learn so much more about yourself. Like I've done more personal development in this past more than a year, past couple years than I've ever have or ever would have done. All right. So kind of some of you have already, I kind of mentioned the secondary gain, and what this is when we let our circumstances control us, we're avoiding something, and because there's a secondary gain. And what the secondary gain is that sometimes like we take an action that doesn't serve us or doesn't seem like it serves us, but there is some benefit to it. So for instance, I think it was Kayla, forgive me for forgetting, or Colleen, that said they have a fear of success. Well, if you say you don't have enough time or enough money or, you know, whatever the other excuse is, then it's saving you. Like, what does it let you get to avoid, right? That's what you think. What does it get you to avoid? Do you get that? Like, so you can avoid failure, right? And that's pretty much what it comes down to: failure, judgment, success. If you don't take action, if you use one of those excuses, the secondary gain is you don't have to put yourself out there, right? You're benefiting from that. And that's why it's so powerful. And that's why it works, is because that secondary gain is, well, if I don't put myself out there, I can't fail. I can avoid failure. I can avoid that fear I have of success. I can avoid rejection, that kind of stuff. So that's what it comes down to when we live with these circumstances. A lot of it comes down to our fears, our fear of failure, rejection, judgment, stuff like that. So it's something to work on. I know I went super, super deep today, guys, but no one talks about this stuff. And I wanted to get it out there to you because it will make such a difference in how you approach your blogging and your business. Okay. All right, let's get into day 4 homework. This was a long challenge. Thank you so much for all sticking with me today. So the homework for today, it looks long, but these are pretty quick. What is the transformation you want to eventually provide your target audience through your paid product or service? Like what is that transformation that you want to offer? Okay. Does your offer or potential offer complement your blog content? Number 3, do you have a strategy for driving traffic to your current blog or the one that you are building? If so, what are you using to bring traffic into your site, or what do you plan to use? Number 4 is, are you tracking your blog statistics to know how many people are actually visiting your blog and which one of your blog posts are performing best? And also seeing like where your traffic sources are coming from. Or do you need help setting up Google Analytics? I actually have a whole video on setting up Google Analytics step by step. So if you guys want that, I will put that in the Facebook group and email it out as well. Number 5 is, how is your money mindset? Do you understand the difference between cost and investment? Is that something you need to work on? And these questions they're not really for me. They're more for you to really start thinking about this stuff. And number 6 is, what is or are the current circumstances, like the ones we went over, that are giving your power away, that you're giving your power away to, and are you done giving power to them now that you know this? Okay, we want to start working through that. All right, when you do the homework, make sure you post it with the hashtag homework4. I will be checking it today, or you can always email it to me. A lot of people are doing that at maureen@thecreativeimpact.com, and I will give you my feedback. If I haven't given you my feedback yet, if you have any questions, please make sure to tag me in the group or email me, and I will get back to you. All right, guys, thank you for hanging with me today. I know we went really deep, but I hope you got some value out of it. And tomorrow, make sure to come back. Day 5, my favorite day. We're talking about how to monetize your blog. It's going to be a big day. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.